Welcome to Reformed Thinking. There are some questions in the Christian faith that are just massive. And today, we're diving into one of the biggest. If God is completely in control, why is Satan still around? So in this explainer, we're going to explore God's incredible, multi-layered strategy for Satan's final defeat. It's a profound topic, so let's get right into it. Right. This is the question, isn't it? It's a tension we all feel. On one hand, the Bible is crystal clear that God's providence rules over everything, including every move Satan makes. So why not just snap his fingers and be done with it? We know from the book of Revelation that Satan's ultimate fate is the lake of fire. Why the delay?
Well, here's the crucial thing. The Bible doesn't just hand us a neat, one-sentence answer. But what it does, it gives us these powerful pointers that when you put them together, reveal a truly breathtaking strategy. God isn't defeating Satan with one big knockout punch. Instead, he's doing it through a series of ongoing processes. And each one is designed to put the supreme glory of Jesus Christ on display in a way we just couldn't see otherwise.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start by really framing this puzzle of providence. Then we'll walk through the four main ways God is accomplishing this victory: defeating with showing, defeating with suffering, defeating with Satan himself, and finally defeating with savoring. Okay, so let's set the stage. We know how the story ends. Revelation 20 verse 10 is not ambiguous. Satan's doom is sealed, and God absolutely has the power and the right to execute that sentence at any moment. The fact that he hasn't tells us something profound. It means that his allowing Satan to continue his work for now serves a much greater and more glorious purpose. So the first part of that purpose is what we can call defeating with showing. The idea here is that God allows Satan's temporary, ugly work to create a kind of dark backdrop, a canvas, if you will. And it's against that darkness that the glorious attributes of Christ, his power, his love, his authority, shine all the more brilliantly. Let's make this real with an example from Luke's gospel. Think about this poor woman bound by Satan for 18 long years. Now, God could have intervened at any moment in those 18 years. But by waiting for that specific moment when Jesus steps onto the scene, her healing becomes more than just a miracle. It becomes a demonstration. It shows his deep compassion, his absolute authority over evil, and his raw divine power. And what was the result? His enemies were put to shame, and the crowd just erupted in praise, glorifying God for what they had seen. This idea of showing builds to the most central event in all of history, defeating Satan with suffering. And we're not talking about just any suffering. We're talking about the decisive, world-altering suffering of Jesus on the cross. This is the absolute centerpiece of God's entire strategy. This verse in Colossians is everything. It tells us that on the cross, something truly cosmic happened. Jesus didn't just die. He disarmed the powers of darkness. He put them to open shame. He triumphed. But wait, how on earth does suffering and death equal a triumph? To get that, we have to ask, what is Satan's most powerful weapon against us? It's not temptation. It's not physical affliction. His only damning weapon, the only charge that can actually stick against us in the court of heaven, is our unforgiven sin. It's the legal record of debt that we owe to a perfectly holy God. So when Christ died, he took that legal document, that record of debt against us, and he nailed it to his cross. He canceled it, paid in full. And in that one incredible act of humility and love, he stripped Satan of his one and only damning weapon. The accuser had nothing left to accuse us of. He was disarmed and publicly shamed, defeated not by a show of force, but by the triumph of sacrificial love. This leads us to our third point, and this one is a bit of a mind-bender. God is defeating Satan with Satan. I mean, this is where you see the infinite wisdom of God in full color. He literally takes Satan's own evil intentions and flips them on their head to accomplish his good and holy purposes. The classic case study for this is Paul's thorn in the flesh, which he flat out calls a messenger of Satan. Just look at the contrast here. Satan's goal: to harass Paul, to cause destruction, to drive him to despair. But what was God's purpose in allowing it? To keep Paul humble, to promote purity in his life, and ultimately to show Paul the absolute sufficiency of Christ's grace. Satan's plan completely backfired. All he did was expose his own foolishness. And this is the magnificent revelation Paul gets right in the middle of it all. It's through this satanic harassment that Paul learns maybe the deepest truth of the Christian life. Christ's grace is enough.
In fact, his power is actually made perfect. It's displayed most clearly in our moments of weakness. Satan's attack became the very platform for God's grace to take center stage. And that brings us to the final, and in so many ways, the most important process: defeating Satan with savoring. This goes beyond strategies and power plays. This gets to the very heart of what God is doing in the universe and in our hearts. See, Satan's game plan is pretty simple. He dangles all the pleasures of the world in front of us to try and lure us away from Christ. And at the same time, he uses all the pain of the world to try and make us doubt God's goodness. So the final battleground, it isn't really a battlefield of power. It's a battlefield of the heart. It's a war for what we desire, what we treasure, what we savor more than anything else. And this gets us to the ultimate purpose of, well, everything. The grand goal of God's providence is for the infinite beauty and the infinite worth of Jesus Christ to be seen and known and treasured, to be savored above everything else in existence. So when our delight in him becomes greater than our desire for what Satan offers and greater than our fear of what Satan can do, Christ is magnified. And this, right here, is how Satan is most profoundly defeated. He isn't just proven to be weaker, he's proven to be less desirable. He is shown to be ugly when compared to the beauty of Christ and just disgusting when compared to the sweetness of Christ. The final victory is when our hearts can truly say, Christ is better. So let's just pull it all together. God's plan is an absolute masterpiece of wisdom. He defeats Satan by showing Christ's superior glory against the darkness, by Christ's suffering on the cross that disarmed him completely, by turning Satan's own foolish attacks back on himself for our good, and ultimately by winning our hearts to savor Christ as our supreme, all-satisfying treasure. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. We often imagine victory as this big, loud, knockout punch, a raw display of overwhelming power. But what if God's plan shows us that the greatest victory imaginable isn't a display of superior power at all, but a display of superior worth? Thanks for joining us for this explainer on Reformed Thinking.